The gala night was meant to be a celebration for me. After years of climbing the ranks in my company from the ground up, this annual event was the moment achievements were acknowledged. My wife looked breathtaking in her gown, and I couldn't help but feel proud to have her by my side. But the second we stepped into the hall, I caught the spark in her eyes when she spotted him, Ethan, the new dominant figure in her circle of friends. He was tall, brash, and full of himself, always twisting the spotlight toward his own direction. It didn't take long before Ethan made his presence known. He cracked cutting jokes, laughed louder than anyone else, and turned the room's energy toward him. People played along, but I could see through it. Their laughter was forced. Then, as the group gathered near the buffet, he casually slung an arm around my wife as if they'd been close forever. My chest burned, but I held my tongue, simply watching. The final straw came when he smirked, pointed at me, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Man, I don't know how she ended up with you." The crowd gave uneasy chuckles. My wife's face drained of color, but she said nothing. Humiliation rushed over me, but I realized then this wasn't just about me. Ethan thrived on tearing others down to inflate himself. I forced a polite smile, shook his hand, and walked away. Anger churned beneath the surface, but I wasn't about to create a scene. Instead, I excused myself to a quiet corner, pretending to take a call while I pieced things together. Ethan wasn't just some random guest. He was a new hire in our sales department, and HR had already been vocal about building a respectful workplace culture. Over the following week, I began documenting everything I could. I overheard him in the break room making crude remarks about women, mocking people's appearances, and bragging that he could replace anyone in the company. His audience laughed nervously, but the unease was real. I quietly gathered statements from coworkers, many admitting they felt uncomfortable but were too afraid to speak up. I kept records, dates, quotes, even screenshots of inappropriate group messages he sent after hours. At first, I wondered if I was being petty. But the deeper I dug, the clearer it became. Ethan wasn't just obnoxious. He was a workplace bully. When I finally sat down with HR and handed them my neatly organized file, the director raised her brows. "This is serious," she said as she flipped through the evidence. I didn't need to exaggerate a single thing. The facts spoke on their own. By the end of that meeting, they assured me there would be a formal investigation. The outcome came quickly. Within 2 weeks, Ethan's booming voice was gone from the office. HR issued a statement about behavioral misconduct, though the details were kept private. Around the office, whispers spread, and people felt relief at last. The tension he carried with him vanished almost overnight. When I told my wife what I had done, she looked at me for a long moment before asking softly, "You didn't go too far?" I shook my head. No, he dug his own grave. I had simply handed HR the shovel. She didn't argue. In fact, I could tell she respected me more for handling it without stooping to his level. At the next gala, everything felt different. No booming laughter dominating the room, no arrogance weighing down the air. This time, as my wife walked in with me, she squeezed my hand. There was pride in her eyes, not for Ethan's swagger, but for the quiet strength I had shown. That night, I understood something important. Real strength doesn't come from humiliating others. It comes from standing tall when someone tries to tear you down and choosing to fight with strategy instead of noise. Ethan thought he was untouchable, the alpha of the room. But in the end, patience, truth, and persistence were all it took to bring him down. As we left that gala, I felt lighter. Not because Ethan was gone, but because I had defended myself with dignity. My wife looked at me differently, and I realized I had earned something far more valuable than applause. I had earned respect. And the best part? HR was the one who took him down. I just gave them the push. Ethan embarrassed me once, but in the end, he embarrassed himself far worse.